What's going on? And happy Monday to you. Welcome into the stream. As we are here on Monday, February 16th, dealing with a couple of days with no NBA until we get it back on Thursday. So once again, it's going to be less picks today on the stream. We do have a couple college basketball games going on right now that we'll look to maybe place some live bets. Obviously, there's some college games going on. Big game tonight between Houston and Iowa State. We also have Duke and Syracuse. So we'll take a look at those markets, see what's going on. We're going to start off with DFS, but it just isn't looking great in terms of just plays out there. So over on DFS, when I open up my filters, guys, I have this selected for today. All player props. I have Better, PrizePicks, Underdog, DraftKings Pick 6, Dabble, Parlay Play. We have no results, at least DVigging to Pinnacle, even if I move this to Power. So just quickly go through all the books: FanDuel, Circa, Bookmaker, BetOnline, OddsJam. Yeah, there's no results that are popping up for any DFS books using OddsJam software. Even if I go to the Sharp Money tool, we have no results. Again, I have all 9 of the popular books selected for today for player props and nothing, because obviously there's no NBA, there's no NHL. We have the Olympic games going on, but for the Olympic women, it's pretty much over. There's 2 games left, the gold medal game, the bronze game. And then we have the men's still going on, but not much going on right now. Anton, what's going on? Evening, Wilbo, what's going on? Irish, Mike, what's going on? What's up? Evening. So once again, guys, kind of today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, there will only be streams going on in the evening. Thursday, we will get back to a stream in the morning and the evening. That's just because there's no NBA. There's not much to bet on. We're going to try to find some results. Hopefully you guys tailed the slip that I shared, or the play I shared earlier today on the women's between Canada and Switzerland. The under in the first period cashed with our boost, which was really nice. And to be very honest, guys, when it comes to esports, OddsJam and their optimizer is not where I'm looking to go for esports. You're looking at Underdog, you're looking at PrizePicks. In my opinion, PrizePicks and Underdog suck. They're both stupid when they set their esports lines. So I don't really know who to go with. And I don't watch enough Valorant, League of Legends, Counter-Strike to really know what's up. I rely on some other sources of information for my esports betting. So if you want to bet some of these plays on PrizePicks for esports for 3-pick slips, be my guest. I'm not going to touch any of these with a 10-foot pole, but if you're dying to get something out there, because I just don't know who to trust here. And as always on these streams, I like to keep it real and I like to keep it honest and transparent. So, back in the day, old Billy C would say, take the over on this guy, take the under on Underdog, set up a little middle here with Demon, right? Which wouldn't be a bad idea. But I just don't know if these are actually even that accurate, right? They could be way off. So that's kind of where I'm at with this, right? So same thing to go with Underdog. All you're going to see is esports because we don't have anything going on. We have some college basketball. Again, college basketball player props. I can't bet on them in the state of Arizona. I don't like to bet on them because I don't think there's any sharp books. So in terms of DFS, guys, I have 0 slips to give you probably until Wednesday. Wednesday, there's going to definitely be some NBA player props popping up. So I would start to really take a peek at that. But as of right now, I don't really have much going on. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this, even if we have a better discount, like you're starting to see even now. Here we go, Castle, Brunson, Jaylen Brown. We're dying for some NBA. And so you're always going to see this, guys, on the beginning of the season and the All-Star break, where this game is 3 days away, but the books already have the prop lines set up, ready to go. So if you want to, you could go after some of these plays. I don't like this in terms of where FanDuel's at. Obviously, there's no Pinnacle odds here, so I'm just leaning on FanDuel as the sharp, and I don't like really what I see here. If we add this as 3-man slips, not great. Just not all that great. But we'll kind of go over to Flip because you might be able to see some other things But this is how it's going to kind of be. So if you guys have questions, you want to go through specific, have me walk you or talk you through certain strategies or certain things, this would kind of be the time. This is also the time, as I mentioned last week, to start deep diving today, tomorrow, Wednesday, looking at your markets. Hopefully you did some of it this weekend. Looking at your NBA markets, looking at your NHL markets. Where are you doing really well at? Where are you getting crushed, right? Where do you want to set up your strategy for the home stretch of the NBA and NHL regular season? Have you started to look at your baseball stats and your baseball numbers from last year? Do you know what you're going to be focusing on when the season starts? There is no doubt about it, guys. Typically with most sports and definitely with baseball, you are going to find a lot of success at the very beginning of the season. The first 25 to 40 games is very profitable betting baseball. Baseball becomes a lot harder to win at after the All-Star break. I'm not saying you can't beat and win at baseball after the All-Star break, but it becomes a lot harder. It's easier to win at baseball at the beginning stages of the season. So you want to be locked and loaded and kind of ready to go. For the sharp money tool, outside of the DFS books, if I just look at all markets for today, we have 20 results. Syracuse plus 21.5. I did over at Bet Openly, I think, grab a little Duke. I grabbed Duke earlier, minus 19 over at Bet Openly for $100. It's now at minus 119. So you can see I placed this bet at, that would be 1:37 p.m. Eastern time or 11:37 a.m. Mountain time. I placed this bet on Duke. I could set up a middle opportunity here where if Duke wins by 20 or 21 points, I win both bets. If they win by 19, then I cash this bet on Syracuse. I push the bet on Bet Openly. It's a pretty good scenario, right? Things worked out my way. So this is something I could look to grab. Somebody put up $2,200. They want Syracuse at minus 129 odds. That's not bad liquidity. It's okay. So if you wanted to grab this over at MGM, The Score, Canby, like Bet Rivers, Bet Parks, Bally Bet, Desert Diamond, Unibet, Twin Spires, I would go grab that play over here. But appreciate you guys tuning in. It really pains for me to not have a lot on the table tonight for you guys in terms of sports betting. This is kind of what like Tuesdays are during the summer with baseball, by the way. So for those of you that haven't followed me or during the summer, Tuesdays are typically the lightest day of the calendar for the MLB season. Kind of like Tuesdays. Tuesdays and kind of sometimes Thursdays. Baseball is really good on Mondays, sometimes Mondays, Wednesdays, definitely the weekends. Baseball is great. But some days during the week with baseball, it's tough, kind of like right now. With no hockey, we'll take a look at some Olympic bets. We'll take a look at the UFC fight this upcoming weekend. We'll look at that. And we'll look at some college basketball, which, through outside the sharp money tool. Arkansas Pine Bluff, A&M, no doubt the sports books take more money on point spreads than over-unders. If I'm looking to bet this over, I'd rather bet the over 142.5 than the over 143.5. No doubt about it. So it's just a lower, it's a lower rung to hit. It's an easier leg to hit. I'd rather do that. FanDuel's at minus 146. I can get this at minus 122 on Bet Rivers. This person wants it at minus 110 on this over. But honestly, this is just a great price on Bet Rivers. But again, these two schools, I believe they're SWAC schools, they're just smaller schools. They're smaller conferences. So I have more confidence in the Syracuse spread than this total points over under for Alabama A&M. Blake, what's going on? Appreciate you, Blake. Saw your email, man, and I'll definitely take a look at that and respond to you later. So appreciate you reaching out and appreciate you becoming a DGen. So for those of you, and obviously not just Blake, but always appreciate the support. So OGs, DGens, make sure you welcome in Blake. Irish asks, can we put together for the 20% all-purpose boost at DK? Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that. Definitely take a look at that. And, for you guys that are just, if you're new to the stream, first and foremost, welcome in. I've been with OddsJam guys for 4 years. They're my homies. And so, utilizing the various different tools, always like to take a look at that. There you go, Wilbo. Appreciate that, man. If you can, and again, guys, if you're seeing, that's one other thing Wilbo kind of mentioned. If you're seeing the EV on over 143.5 and 142.5, there's a really good chance that the main line, when we're opening this up, guys, if you want to look at the event page here, there's a really good chance that the main line is going to be good on Canby, okay? So, again, we're talking about easier legs to hit. You could see that Canby's minus 122 here at the over 142.5. If they have an over 141.5, grab that, right? Because Circa doesn't set their line until 145. Now, Circa's only taking $550 here. Not a lot of money. We're going to be having a video coming out, guys, this week on Odds Jam where I'm going through every popular market in college basketball and telling you which sharp sportsbooks you want to lean on. So there's going to be a step-by-step tutorial going through specific markets and telling you what you should lean on. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be on the Odds Jam channel. You could ladder bet this, guys. Like 145 on Pinnacle at minus 118. It's plus 112. Again, if you want to go after the easiest leg, 142.5 it is. But, you could go after some lower legs if you want to as well. So once we get through the sharp money tool, though, Irish, we'll definitely take a look at what's going on with that DraftKings boost. I'm just going to log into DraftKings right now over here on my other monitor. Hopefully you guys had a solid weekend. Hopefully Valentine's Day was good for you guys. It was good for me. Had a nice time. Obviously didn't stream yesterday. There wasn't as much going on. Like I said, we do have a 30% boost on Houston and Iowa State. We have one on FanDuel. We have one on DraftKings. What else do we got here? Yeah, the 20% on any profit boost, 20% any sport profit boost is very good on DraftKings today, and we'll look to hit that up. We might do that live. We might place a live bet using the sportsbook screen. So got a lot of great spots here. The over 141.5, yeah, like this is kind of like, I'm just going to go over here, guys. I just forgot my password, so I'm just going on my phone, betting on Bet Rivers. I'm going to take this over 141.5. That's an easier leg to hit. Not so much because of the sharp money tool, in the world, because this isn't a lot of liquidity here. This is peanuts. But really, when it comes to, it's just a really good price to all the sharp sports books. And when we're talking about lower tier college basketball, you're going to see these types of line discrepancies all the time. This game starts at what? 8 o'clock Eastern? So we'll grab this with Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alabama A&M. And they might have moved this now because, yeah, it's 143.5. Yeah, this is an incorrect price. But I'm still okay with grabbing the over 142.5. So I'm going to throw $100 at 142.5. And I'll come up here and add this to the bet tracker. Ooh, they're only going to let me bet $50. Shout out Bet Rivers. Again, guys, the books will always take more money on spreads than totals. Now, obviously, I'm a little late to the party. I could have got this at plus 102, but that's all right. Use the bet tracker over here at OddsJam, guys. It's completely free. I've been using it for 4 years now, and it just tracks all my bets on one convenient location. So like I mentioned before, whether it's Pickett, whoever you're using as your bet tracker, when we have a break right now in the NBA season, you want to have everything tracked. Because doing all this tracking day in and day out is going to help your future self out when you export those bets. When you take a look at your odds range, sportsbook, markets, where are you betting into? Where are you having a high ROI? You got 5% ROI here, 10% ROI here. Do you have a negative 12% ROI here? That's where you really want to pay attention to, right? So let's take a look at DraftKings, and let's take a look at this profit boost. We're just going to reset everything. Obviously, it's just college basketball that we have going on. For spreads, guys, we're going to first look at spreads, and I love using a combination of Circa and Bookmaker. It's really my jam. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is just grab this at DraftKings. Does DraftKings provide me anything for point spreads? Again, why do I focus on Circa and Bookmaker? Because they take the most money for point spreads. It's not even close on some of these markets where Pinnacle only takes maybe $2,000, Circa's taking 3 times that, Bookmaker might be taking 5 times that. If you're at this point where we're seeing that like there isn't a lot, like this bar is just kind of chilling here, that means there isn't any plays. So what we could do is a couple of things. And you can also use BetOnline. I don't give BetOnline enough credit. They have solid limits as well for point spreads. We can do 50%, right, where I could throw BetOnline in here, do a 3-book blend, and we're just going to wait to see if something pops up for DraftKings. If nothing pops up for point spreads, that's okay. We'll add in a few more markets. Patrick, what's going on, man? MP, what's going on? No doubt about that. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to having this back. Looking forward to getting back to betting NHL anytime goal scores. Matty B says, just landed in Phoenix for the week, and damn, there's a ton of books here. Matty, welcome to the desert. Little chilly this week, Matty. I do apologize. Weather isn't as warm as it was for the waste management, but it's still pretty solid. All right, let's add a few more markets in here. Let's go main markets, and let's just see if we have anything popping. And I just need a combination of these two books, Circa Bookmaker, Circa Bet Online, Bookmaker Bet Online. Again, we're looking at a minus 200, plus 150 odds range for college basketball. If this bar still hasn't loaded, then that's okay. That just means we don't have any plays. And I can drop this down to like 0. It doesn't really matter what percentage it is, guys. And then we're just looking for any of these 3 books to provide us value, because I'm looking for something on DraftKings. And again, what we might end up doing is just live betting this. Okay, and if we live bet this, there's really a different scenario that we want to go through. Now, I am over here on DraftKings. I got the college basketball loaded up, ready to go. There's 3 games going on, and really 2 that I'm focused on: Coppin State and Old Dominion, because they're both in the second half. I prefer to place bets in the second half. And if we're going to check out live betting, what I would do here is I'm going to tighten up this odds range a little bit. Right? I'm not happy. We're not getting any pregame results, and for the sake of time, I mean, we got to keep this thing moving. So let's try to focus on like a minus 125 to plus 125. And what I'm looking to do here is, because we're dealing with smaller schools, Pinnacle doesn't have odds for these schools. Only FanDuel and Bookmaker do. So get this out of my way. Go over here, get rid of, we can add Bookmaker, but I'm just going to lean on FanDuel, guys, as my sharp for live betting DraftKings right now. And so then all I'm going to do is come over to live and then see if we have anything going on at all. That's all I'm really looking for. And really, I don't even have to do this. I could probably reset this, unfortunately, and just go FanDuel, go Power, and take this down over here to college basketball. And then we're just going to look for some mainline markets. It's pretty set forward. And then we're just going to go minus 125 to plus 125. And if I don't see anything in here, then we can obviously expand those ranges. And I'm looking for DraftKings. And then just go live and like see if we have anything right now. Again, there's only 3 games going on. I would prefer not to bet the BU Colgate game, but we'll see what happens. Maddie, is it normal to see Circa with stale lines? Or does that mean they haven't taken significant? I think Irish is definitely going to speak to this, because he's mentioned how it's kind of been slow. Let's pull up the screen as well. Let's take a look at the sportsbook screen and see what we have going on. And we'll start with like point spreads right now. We're just looking over here to see if we can find anything. Obviously, with a 20% boost, it's not bad, but we're looking for discrepancies here. Maybe taking a plus 4.5 on Louisiana is not bad. I might do that right now at minus 120 and throw my 20% boost on that. Unless it's not live, they're not letting me do live. Do I have to, am I doing something wrong here? I thought I opted in. I opted into your boost. I like that 1 point discrepancy. 20% boost on any bet today. Well, any bet today would mean live betting. So I don't see what the issue is here. It's just not loading for me, guys. When I'm over here on DraftKings, it's not popping. Let me know if you guys are getting the same thing, because I'm not seeing the 20% boost pop up on any wager, pregame or live. I'm not getting anything. We'll have to see. But I do like this. If this is still out there, this might be a little stale. Might be probably in a stoppage right now. But if you can get Old Dominion plus 4.5, FanDuel's at plus 3.5, minus 120, minus 108. Plus 4.5 is not bad at all. No, still not getting it, which kind of drives me insane, to be honest with you guys. We'll come back to this here in a little bit. Apologies, Irish. I thought we were going to be able to get something, but we can't. And let's take this as a minus 150. Let's go plus 130. Again, guys, we're going after odds ranges, slightly better or worse than a flip of a coin. And not really going to have a percentage set up right now. And we'll set this up where we're going to look at a blend again. So we'll look at a Circa, Pinnacle, Bookmaker, Bet Online. And we'll just do a 50% here for mainline markets, college basketball, see what's up. Okay, for my Fanatics people, this is live. Oh, snap. Over 147. Little early to bet that. Over 148. The over is looking decent right now with Colgate and BU. Sitting at 146.5. Yeah, not really. I don't love that right now. No, we're just going to stay away from that. But let's go back to the pregame. and see what we got for pregame. And for my people outside the U.S. poly market, it's coming to America soon, but not soon enough. Hit this play up. Looking at some different plays popping up here. You can see Bookmaker Bet Online agree with this. It's just really going to depend on the market, guys. Right, we're looking here. Where Bet Online and Bookmaker agree on this over 147.5. I always open up the event page. I want to see where all 4 books are when it comes to this market. And you can see that, we don't have any Pinnacle. We don't have any Circa at all. Like nothing. And that's because this game's for tomorrow. I should have set my date range. Apologies. Date range is for today. Let's do that because we only really care about today. And again, when we get confirmation from a couple of books, guys, I'm willing to take lower edge plays. No doubt about that. So for my ProfitX people, $68 on Delaware State available. Marshall, South Alabama, $40 available here. I'm not going to overthink this. Go bet these plays on ProfitX. If I lived in a state that had ProfitX, I would definitely take advantage of these. No doubt about it. Irish, tell me how you really feel. So yeah, OJ's been stale to it with Circa. They've been stale. And Matty says he's been seeing line movement on money lines with Circa, but not spreads. Blake, great question. Not really. I'm not up to speed on the story or the info and kind of what's going on. So I don't have actually anything to add there, but appreciate you asking. Obviously, if anyone is an OG or DGen that kind of is familiar with what's going on, feel free to let Blake know what's up or give your 2 cents. Always here just to talk anything sports betting. I mean, it doesn't have to be sports betting related, but yeah, appreciate that. Jackson State plus 4.5 on MGM for those of you that aren't limited. This is just a great price. Again, point spreads. This is why we don't lean on Pinnacle, guys, even though Pinnacle's a minus 107. They're only taking $500. Circa's taking $2,200. So I would lean on Circa here. That's why I lean more Circa Bookmaker when it comes to point spreads. Because this is just a really good price over here at MGM. If you don't have MGM or you're limited on MGM, ProfitX, or I would say no vig. Go grab this at no vig. ProfitX is on the cusp. It's okay. It's not ideal. Still haven't gotten... I'm going to log out of DraftKings and log back in because I still don't see this 20% profit boost that DraftKings says we're getting today. And I opted into it. So I really want to hit this up. But I like the Jackson State play. Again, with no vig, we're talking $36 on North Carolina Central and then $114 on Duke. Now, the way that I would interpret these 2 plays, guys, is that I have a lot more confidence in the Duke play than the North Carolina Central play. The biggest reason being is there's a massive difference in the conferences that these 2 teams play in and also just general popularity in tonight's college basketball slate. I don't know how many regular DGen sports bettors are interested in watching Morgan State versus NC Central, where Syracuse Duke, there's a little bit more popularity in this game, right? And you can see that there's more books that are aligning with this play. So when you're using this tool, and again, you want to pay attention to the conferences that you're betting into, because this conference, which I can't remember where Morgan State is, might be the MEAC or the MAC, I can't remember. Or it's not the MAC, but it's the MAC. I can't remember. This one here, though, with Duke, there's a big difference, right? Circa's taking $5,500, Pinnacle's taking $3K. On this play, Pinnacle's taking $500. Circa's taking $2,200, which isn't bad, but not nearly as good. For anyone that has Bovada, the over on New Orleans and Incarnate Word, so you just pay attention, guys, because there's really only 2 big games going on tonight: Syracuse, Duke, Houston, Iowa State. Other than that, it's a bunch of smaller schools and smaller conferences. So you're going to see smaller limits. Like Pinnacle's limit's $250. Like, who cares? That's such a small amount of money. So it can be difficult when we're going after these smaller conferences, right? Howard, Delaware State. I mean, like, bro, this is like not a lot of dough. So yes, these plays have an edge, but tread softly, right? And again, when we see agreement from multiple books, I'm willing to bet more than the recommended bet size. Because even though this is a lower edge, we have agreement from a lot of sharp books. But again, if we're getting an agreement for an ACC or Big 12 play, I would bet more money than betting on these smaller conferences. DraftKings update. Still am not seeing the profit boost. So I don't know what the deal is, because I know I opted in to the daily drop, get a 20% profit boost to use on any bet today. Matty, I'm guessing that you're referring to pregame, correct? Let me know if it's pregame or live, and then I can kind of answer your question from there. It's a good question. Circa's minus 110 on both sides. They're obviously, it's a 50-50 split. So, we want to see a plus 105, plus 110 on the book that we're looking to place that bet at. Let's see if we can go over to live and if we got anything right now. Speaking of Kalshi moves really quick. Ooh, plus 120. I don't see any sharp books that are offering this right now. The over 148.5. Yeah, it's an alt line, so it's not great at the moment. Again, if this is too many games for you guys, we can just come here and just click on these three. Makes it really simple, really easy. And, when we're looking at these plays, guys, honestly, I need to slide FanDuel over here and just kind of pay attention to FanDuel, okay? And kind of pay attention to, I don't want to really give away all the tips that I just filmed earlier today that you guys are going to be watching later this week. But we definitely want to look for discrepancies. And the closer that we get to the end of the game, like here with Coppin State, the bigger that we can find those discrepancies, the better, right? So when we can find 2, 3, 4 point discrepancies with 6 minutes left in the game, those are smashes. Those are two unit bets, 3 unit bets, right? But if we're finding a 1 unit discrepancy in points in the first half, like in Colgate BU, I don't really care, because we have a lot of basketball left to be played. But as the game starts to dwindle down, that value that you can find with a 1 or 1.5 point discrepancy becomes very large in terms of EV value, right? Now, in this case with Bet Rivers, the over minus 137, Pinnacle's minus 106 on 122. Like, this isn't a value, right? Because if FanDuel was to move this to 123, they're kind of the same price, right? So it's not just, hey, look for a 1 point difference. Like, you also have to pay attention to the price. And you want to make sure that that price kind of lines up where, here, they're 13 cents off. On this under, it's the same price, basically, not really all that good, right? But if we're looking at, hey, over 144.5 minus 120, or excuse me, this under, we can get this under at the same price as FanDuel for an extra point, right? This is a big deal on Caesars. Under 145.5 minus 110, FanDuel's at the same price at under 144. There's 11 minutes left in this game. I would maybe warm up to that play a little bit more. And I apologize if I'm talking extremely fast, but when it comes to live betting, you don't have any time to double check, triple check. You have to react, and you have to react fast if you want to be able to lock in value. So that is a really big difference, guys, with live betting to pregame. I know a lot of OGs and DGens know this. It's like going from college football to the NFL. The speed is just ramped up 100x. So you have to trust your eyes, trust your judgment, and trust that you understand the difference in pricing, the difference in odds, and then go attack. Again, here, this over 144 at minus 130, FanDuel's at 145.5 at minus 108. That's not a value. That's not a value at all, because if FanDuel were to go to a minus 144 on this over, it'd probably be like minus 125s, right? So you want to find pricing that's similar, where you're getting a good spot here. Now, this pricing between Caesars and FanDuel, it's 12 cents off, okay, but there's too much time left here. If we could get this kind of pricing maybe with like 2-3 minutes left, okay, I'm a little bit more interested. And again, guys, this is kind of everything that I talk about that's involved with coaching, right? I've mentioned that in different videos, and it's going to probably be linked in the description in this live stream where I offer coaching for live betting, pregame betting, walking you through specific setups, what books we want to attack, what books are worth the squeeze, what books you want to save for pregame, which ones do you want to save for live, because you can really burn through some accounts with some books going after pregame when you shouldn't even touch them for pregame. You should only use them for live. So that's kind of what all entails with coaching. So, unfortunately, this is, here we go, maybe BU, 3.5. Again, it's a little early here, minus 3.5. This might be gone. Yeah, it's kind of gone right now. And so if these are all gone, I'll just kind of pause and then come back to the play button up here again, just to kind of refresh everything and just kind of see what's going on. But with live betting, there's a lot of happening. And I would definitely implore you guys, even with a limited Fanatics account, go live bet. And I think your Fanatics account is a great spot that even if you're limited, you should just go get used to live betting over at Fanatics. Okay? You're not going to be able to wager as much money on Fanatics, but you're going to be able to get some high EV edge plays for lower amounts of money and get used to the ropes of live betting. If you're brand new to this and you have a Fanatics account and you can only bet like $5-10, that's the perfect testing grounds for you to try live betting. You don't want to start live betting on an unlimited DraftKings account. You're going to lose a shitload of money. You want to start live betting on accounts where you're limited, and you're limited to like $5 to $10, $15, because then you're going to be able to make mistakes, because you are going to make mistakes, and you're going to be able to learn through those mistakes and what you should and shouldn't do. And so Fanatics is really like one of the best books that you're probably going to get limited within the first 48 hours of pregame betting. So use it for live. And when it comes to NFL and NBA, you're going to be able to wager way more money on Fanatics, even on a limited account. You still might be able to wager $50 to $100 on Fanatics live for NBA and NFL, right? And I know the NFL season's over, but for NBA, it's still worth it. And for Major League Baseball, it's still worth it. And you'll be surprised, even on a limited Fanatics account, how much money you'll still be able to make off that account on a limited account. So check that out. Let me catch up to everyone. So Matt, you were asking about pre. Yeah, I mean, you want to look, you want to see where Pinnacle and Bookmaker is. I don't really utilize for pregame. So let's just take a look here, like on one example. Let's like look at Houston, Iowa State, or let's look at like Duke and Syracuse. I don't want to mess around with these smaller schools when it comes to the money line plays. So it's like the last game down here. I went too far. Here we go. Okay, so we got fairly competitive odds here, plus minus 140. Right, so Pinnacle's at 5K, Circa's at 5K, right? And if, Circa's at plus minus or minus 110 on both sides, but you see Bookmaker, BetOnline, and Pinnacle all at like this price range, and you see Circa at minus 110, there's a couple things you could do. Number one, you could click into Circa, and you could tell, is there line movement from Circa? Like, what's the most recent line movement? Those little yellow dots, those little circles, are Circa updating their odds every couple minutes or every couple seconds. I don't know the time frame, but that's them updating their odds. So all those yellow dots are updates from Circa. So if they've just recently updated, then they're chilling right here. But if you notice that Pinnacle's here and Bookmaker's here, and Bookmaker moved a decent amount. They were at plus 135. Now they're at plus 126. On a money line play, 9 cents, that's pretty good movement. Right, then I would definitely say like either one to a couple of things. Circa might be stale, and OddsJam's pulling in the incorrect odds on Circa, which Irish I know has been preaching that it's been going on for like a long time. Or, if Circa hasn't moved recently, that might be the book that you want to go bet into because they're just way off, right? If all the other sharp books are in agreement with the price and one book is way off, that's what you can do. Right? But typically with money line plays, you're not going to find a ton of value. Now here on Houston, you can see that plus 140, plus 126. The first thing you want to do is you want to click this show no VIG odds. Remove the VIG from the odds, remove the VIG from these lines. Let's find out what the fair price is. So if you take an average between these four sports books, okay, the average is, I don't know, plus minus maybe 134, 135. Right, so if you can find anything above 134, 135, we got some value here. And that's the case here on Houston, not so much on Iowa State. So no VIG is offering this for only $700. I would bet Houston money line because you're getting this at plus 140 for only $700. Circa's at 5K, Pinnacle's at 5K, and I can guarantee you that Bookmaker is probably at like $12,000 to $15,000. Maybe not. Money lines, I forgot. Money lines, Bookmaker doesn't take as much, but they do on point spreads. So again, this is where it really helps, guys. I mentioned this before. If you live in a state where you can sign up with Bookmaker or BetOnline, you don't have to deposit any money. Just sign up with an account for them, because then you're going to be able to come over here and pull them over here and say, all right, well, what's the money line play on Houston? They're taking only $1,000. So this is actually really bad. They're taking $14.50 on Iowa State. So you don't want to really use Bookmaker as your sharp. Pinnacle's taking 5 times the amount of money they are. So forget bookmaker, right? But then say, all right, well, what about bet online, right? Like, what's bet online taking? And this is just how, I know this is kind of tedious and it's going to take some time, but this is really how you can find out very quickly. There's a risk max limit bet. They're taking 10 grand on Houston on the money line. Bet online is. They're taking 15 grand on Iowa State. So Bet Online is the book that you want to lean into as the sharp because they're taking more money. They're taking double the amount of money Circa is on Iowa State and double the amount of money on Houston. So Bet Online would be my sharp book that I go after, and they think this is plus 132. I remove the VIG, it's plus 140. So it's a low hold, no VIG play at all. Zero VIG play on no VIG. And then if you can get this at minus 141, not really a good play at all. But if you have a boost, obviously you could throw that on either side, right? And you can kind of go through the numbers and figure out with a calculator, a Kelly Criterion calculator, how much EV it is. But that's how I would look at it, Maddie, if that helps out at all. BetOnline's taking significantly more money on Moneyline plays currently during the stream than Circa and Pinnacle. Yeah, Maddie, that's what the dots do. The dots just tell you kind of what's going on. So let's get back to some pregame bets for college basketball for pregame. See if we can find anything. Damn, I'm almost out of breath and we're only 36 minutes into the stream. If you guys have found any of this information insightful or helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a lot. Try to spread the word. Try to help a lot of people band together to beat the piss out of the sports books because that's what it's all about. Band together and make a lot of money off DraftKings and FanDuel and BetRivers and MGM and all these books, right? That's the books are the enemy. So we're just trying to share as much information I can as for free, helping you with sharp betting. But, with a lot of these plays, I would still play them even though we're talking about lower tier conferences in college hoops. If that's not your cup of tea, no problem. Then today's going to be kind of a lighter slate of games. Or if you want to just wait until the games go live and just start leaning on FanDuel and Pinnacle as your sharps for live betting, I think you'll have a really good time there. Again, whether you like to use the EV tool, whether you want a live arb, or you're like me and you like to use the sportsbook screen, there's some pretty solid opportunities. Let's see if we got anything with DraftKings right now. This over 121. Look, it's minus 114 on BetRivers. It's over 122.5 was minus 130. That looked real good. Now, again, you hover your mouse over here. It's going to tell you when the odds have changed, guys, with OJ, right? I don't know if I love this over 120.5 is kind of interesting. I'm going to see if I can grab this over 121 on DraftKings right now. I'm going to go in for $100. And so I got this over, what did I get this at? Let's grab this over 121 at minus 105. Close game, guys. There could be a good chance there's a lot of fouling going on. So the over 121.5, it's a point off to FanDuel. And we'll see how that ages. Might be a bad play. Might not. We'll see. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to add the profit boost that DraftKings told me I could. So there we go. And of course, as soon as I bet it, then it moves against me with DraftKings. Because now it's at 120.5 at minus 115. We'll see. But again, that's 2 points off. So you guys want to grab this over now on DraftKings on Coppin State. We got 4 minutes left in this game. It's a tight game, right? You want to also think about what's going on in the game. Is it a 15-point, 20-point blowout? Teams aren't going to foul that much. But home team is the bottom team here. And bookmaker thinks this is 122.5 at minus 107. I just got this at 121.5 at minus 105. I like that. And so with DraftKings, this would be an opportunity where, you'd want to bet this. I don't know. I'm not going to go back to the well and bet the over 120.5 because, again, guys, thinking about your risk exposure, I don't want to be overly exposed on these plays. I don't want to have a couple of overs and next thing you know, the over doesn't hit at all. But I would rather have probably taken the over 120.5, but this is still off the FanDuel. But when we hover our mouse, it's been 2 minutes since FanDuel's actually updated their odds. 40 seconds for bookmaker, so I lean a little bit more that bookmaker's a little bit more fresh when it comes to this. So, but still, it's been out here. There's probably some kind of stoppage going on. I like using the sportsbook screen. It might be a little easier for you guys. Now it's minus 120. Might be a little easier for you guys to use the live EV tool, right? You'll be able to set up your thresholds a little bit higher. But again, this is something you can definitely take a look at. Nichols, Houston Christian, the under 137.5. Again, a common theme. If you see EV on the under 137.5, I could bet your ass that the under 138, the under 139 is going to be EV as well. Okay, so when we open this up, you could see that here at the top, the over 137.5 is where Circa has this line at. You can see that Bet Rivers is at plus 112. Now, Circa's only taking $500 here, but this is an arb to Circa. Even if Circa's stale, this is a damn good play. Bet Online's got the under 138.5 at minus 105. Okay, so I'd still take this at Bet Rivers, but again, this would be the easier leg to hit. But honestly, the easiest leg to hit might be maybe going over to FanDuel and betting this at minus 105. But again, there's only $250 on Pinnacle. But at the under 139s here at minus 105, and assuming that Circa and BetOnline have these odds correct, then the under 139.5 is the play. This is the play on FanDuel or Bet Rivers. Both of them are fine, right? And what we're looking for here is because, BetOnline's got the under 138.5 at minus 105. We can get an extra point, and that's the difference. That's really the difference, is looking at what we have going on here and saying, we definitely want to hit this up, right? This could definitely be something, that extra point could be the difference between a win and a loss, right? Irish says, we just want to make sure Coppin State stays under 141.5. Irish, I would say the only thing that's going to threaten that, and I don't like to say it, would be overtime. Overtime would be the one thing I'd be nervous about. And with FanDuel updating this to 122.5, having that over 121.5 at minus 105 looks really good. Again, guys, we haven't had enough that have moved. This line hasn't moved up enough because now it's dropping down, where we could try to create a middle or an arb here, right? We would need that total to kind of blow up to like 123, 124 for the main line to try to create a middle or arb out of this. So in this particular scenario, I'm just kind of holding on here. I'm just going to hold on to my over 121.5 at minus 105. And see what's going on. It looks like it's a 4-point game with 3.5 minutes left. So when I see these plays for Canby, the first thing I think about is I could bet this play, or I could probably bet the main line for, a couple extra points and get a really good price as well. That's something I'm always thinking about, guys, especially with Canby. So a lot of these plays have been out here for a while. Prairie View A&M, again, small school, $1,100 on Kalshi. Pinnacle's only taking $500. Now Circa's taking $2,200. I don't know how much I love that, so I'll just kind of chill with this right now. Let's go take a look at some things here for the future. First up, let's take a look at some Olympic men's hockey and see what we have going on. Let's get this over to pregame. Cool. Let's reset this, and we're just going to start off with just Pinnacle, guys. And let's go over. I'll just use the power default. Worst case is fine, but we'll stick there. I'll have everything selected. We'll look for like the next 7 days, and then we'll just go to, league. Let's clear out everything. Hockey, come down here at the bottom. Olympic men's, Olympic women's. Again, the women's, there's only a couple of games left, so we don't really care. And, let me show some odds ranges, because I'm not looking to bet some crazy stuff. So let's go minus 200. Let's take this to like plus 150. What do we got? 8 results. Okay, tomorrow for the men's on Bet365 for both these games, the over 1.5 first period total goals. Again, Pinnacle is only taking about $400 here right now. But we're seeing that, this is 35 cents off on Bet365. Over on BetOnline with Germany and France, we could bet the under 6.5. Pinnacle's taking $2K. Curious to find out what BetOnline's taking right now for this game. Because if BetOnline's taking $2K, then I really don't want to bet any of this, because I'm not very interested in this. Let me find out some. I'm just trying to find the Olympics right now. There we go. The under 6.5, BetOnline is taking $1,000. Okay. Again, guys, with all these offshore books, they usually have a risk max limit. YouTube doesn't like when I show offshore books, but it's very important that I'm transparent with you guys. I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you a certain limit. So it's under 6.5 plus 100 odds at $1,000. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a 2% edge play here. I never like betting unders for the Olympics, especially teams that suck like Italy and France. No offense if you're a big fan of Italian or French hockey, but these teams stink. I almost rather take the puck line with Germany because I know they have a good chance of beating the crap out of France. And it looks pretty good there. Let's take a look at that. Now, that's just a vibes thing, guys. These are good plays. The teams they're playing are not very good. I don't know if you guys have watched any of the Olympics, but it hasn't been very good. They're taking $13.50 on the puck line for Germany. BetOnline is, if you want to grab this on Pinnacle. It's a lower edge play. It's all right. The rest of these plays are a little bit too low of an edge. I don't want to mess around with it. Honestly, you could rock these guys as single straight wagers. You're basically hoping that Germany scores 2 goals and that Sweden scores 2 goals. Latvia can maybe score. France, I don't know about it. But if you wanted to, you could also put these in a 2-leg traditional parlay as well over on 365. So you have some different options. And I would be willing to bet that even though these games are for tomorrow, you're going to get some good closing line value. Now, a couple of things I will say. If you're not limited on Bet365, I shouldn't say probably, I wouldn't bet these right now because this is how you get limited. Okay. If you are limited on Bet365, then you can probably only bet $5, and I would put these on a 2-leg parlay and just bet your $5, right? Bet365 is going to be great to beat the shit out of when it comes to NBA player props. I would not go after Bet365 for this market if you're not limited, but to each his own if you're feeling frisky. Let's take a look at the UFC fights coming up this weekend. I really lean on BetOnline a lot for the UFC fights. Change the date range to the next 7 days. Let's drop the 2% and let's see what we got. Interesting. Okay, under 1.5 total rounds on DraftKings. Again, these fights aren't until Saturday. Pinnacle's at -120. BetOnline's at -125. This is an ARB to BetOnline. You could literally ARB this right now, guys, to make some risk-free money. Bet the over, bet the under. When you have the over and the under at plus odds, you could hit this up. Low Vegas, not a bad offshore sportsbook to have an account with as well. And since I'm on BetOnline right now, let me see what we got for what they're taking for. Typically with UFC, I'm only betting main markets like money lines, fight to go the distance, total rounds. That's really all I mess around with. I don't mess with the point spreads too often. Every now and then I do. And typically just, again, guys, it all comes down to liquidity. And whoever's taking the most liquidity typically has the most confidence in their lines. So we're looking at Spivak. Give me a second. Well, that's because this isn't until, this is a week out. I'm missing it somewhere. Here we go. 326. Nope. It's Houston, right? Let me know, guys, in the chat, because I'm not caught. It's the Houston fight. Maybe it's, here it is. So we're looking at what the under are 125. They're taking $3,100 right now. BetOnline is. So I like this on DraftKings. Take that under. The money line play here for Carlos Leal, going up against Chidi. Chidi is, so I can take a look at both books and let you guys know what's up. BetOnline has this at plus 100 odds. They're taking $20,000 on Chidi right now. Let me see what bookmaker's taking. And this is just how you kind of figure out which books you really want to lean on. And so if you have access to these books, guys, it's going to really be helpful because then you'll know exactly what's up. BetOnline, they're taking $3K. So let me show you this. Bookmaker's taking $3K on Chidi on the money line, where BetOnline is taking $20,000. Who do you think has more confidence in their odds? BetOnline or Bookmaker? The book that's taking $20K or the book that's taking $3K? It's definitely BetOnline. So I only got like $38 here, but I'm going to place this bet over on Bookmaker, $38.90. Love that. If you live in like Kentucky or Ohio, I don't know if it's Ohio, definitely Kentucky Prime Sports, hit that up. What else do we got? Again, the over 4.5 on the Sean Strickland Anthony Hernandez fight, like the main fight here. DraftKings. You want to put together a 2-leg parlay. Take the under on Spivak, the over on Strickland. Yeah, Maddie. I mean, all of this is work, man. If it's worth it to you or not, and obviously I'm kind of going through just kind of checking it out. It just depends on what you prefer. For me, that's kind of how I like to bet. But again, everyone has a slightly different process. So find something that obviously works for you, and definitely something that's obviously profitable for you. A little live looking on it. Looks like it's going to come down to the wire here, guys, on this Coppin State game. We're at 110 with 43 seconds left, so yeah, we'll have to see about that. Okay, so that would be the two. I don't really want to mess around with Pereira. I don't want to mess around with this play, but I definitely like these plays. And if I had more money, I would say Osborne as well, because bookmakers just not taking that much money. And that plus 130 odds, really, really good. There's a clear difference in BetOnline and just their limits and liquidity that they're taking compared to everything else. So for my UFC people, that would definitely be where we want to go after. But essentially, guys, that's kind of where I'm going to call it a stream. We're going to be streaming tomorrow, same time in the evening. Let me stop here for Irish. If you want to put this on any, your plays here, I'm cool with it. When it comes to DraftKings and that boost, I know this is far away, but I would definitely rather, grab that than anything else, because I definitely think there's going to be some solid value in these UFC fights, and I really like these prices. But outside of that, for college hoops tonight, I'd probably it's not ideal. I would either try to save it for a live bet or pregame. And I lean more Houston Moneyline, guys. If you want to put your 30% boost on DraftKings or FanDuel, I lean more Houston Moneyline than Iowa State, just in terms of the value from the books. You know me, I kind of prefer underdog odds, so I'd rather kind of go with Houston. So that's kind of where I'll call it right now, guys. But as always, appreciate you guys tuning in, especially on days like this, guys. There's not a lot going on. For those of you that stuck around, it means a lot. Thank you so much. Otherwise, guys, have a fantastic Monday, and I'll talk to you tomorrow evening. Take care.